Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast of your favorite tanking team in the Bay Area. On today's episode, the Sharks get manhandled by the Canucks, and we're going to start talking about the end of the draft, looking at some mock drafts and seeing who people have projected the Sharks taking with the Timo Meier pick. So all that and more on today's episode of Locked On Sharks.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm your host, JD Young, contributor at San Jose Hockey Now. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. You can subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts to get the latest episode as soon as it's available, because we cover your team every day here at Locked On Sharks. And man, does your team stink. Your team, my team. That was ugly performance by the Sharks as they lose 7-2 to the Vancouver Canucks. And it wasn't like just like beat down. It was just like the Canucks were just, they didn't even have to try. Like they didn't have to. The Sharks just kind of just gave it to them. So a bunch of horrific turnovers. Knizhov had a bad game. Hertl had a bad game. Just a bunch of guys just looked off and looked terrible. And James Reimer had a bad game as well. When you give up 7 goals on 21 shots, the Canucks had 21 shots total in this game. Not a math guy, but that is 1/3 of the shots went in the net from the Canucks. Gave up a shorthanded goal. I know Agozzino, and the Sharks had a shorthanded goal themselves, but just an absolute train wreck of a game. And this is one of the worst Sharks teams I have ever watched in my life. And I mean, granted, I missed all the early 90s day Sharks, but this team is bad. I mean, that's what happens when you lose 8 straight games now. And the Sharks going to be right there for the top pick in this draft, or at least going into the draft lottery. They're going to be right there. They have, after tonight now, they have one more game against a bottom dweller, and that would be the Arizona Coyotes, who have won 6 out of their last 10 type of situations. So then have kind of been working their way up from bottom dweller to not as bad of a bottom dweller. So the Sharks are, this is just a terrible team that needs an injection of talent, hopefully by one Connor Bedard or one Adam Fantilli or Leo Carlson or Mitch Cott, whoever. But this team is bad, and it was just all the same mistakes we've seen from them all season. And the goaltending was poor as well tonight. So yeah, I mean, this game is not worth talking about. My 2 bright spots. I thought Andrew Agozzino played really well. That guy keeps playing, and he's an NHL player. If he's the captain of the Barracuda again next year, which he will be under contract for the Sharks again. Just having him as a guy who can come up and play meaningful minutes for you. He played first line minutes tonight, and he looks good. I think he's someone that you just kind of keep around in the organization to mentor the young players. And if you need him around, I think that's a perfect role for Andrew Agozzino type of situation for him. So I thought he looked good tonight. Definitely has earned playing NHL minutes for as long as they want to keep him around right now, if they want to send him back down to a Barracuda team that is running out of bodies. But I mean, the whole Sharks organization is just running out of healthy players right now. And then Jacob Peterson. So he made his San Jose Sharks debut tonight, gotten an assist on the Tomas Hertl goal. But you could see some little flashes with him. I really liked his game tonight. Again, it's a little tough when you're losing 7-2 at one point to try to take out some positives. But I did like Peterson's game, and I think the Sharks might have found something that fits their system a little bit better. Scott Reedy is kind of tearing it up for the Texas Stars now. I think he's scored a bajillion goals since he's got over there, but sometimes just systems don't work, and the Sharks' new system didn't work to Scott Reedy's, kind of his skills and what he does best. And Peterson had run out of what maybe that system didn't work for him. So more Swedes. I'm always happy having more Swedes on the team, but yeah, I think there might be something with Peterson there too. So it will be interesting to see as the Sharks kind of 10 games left, kind of who continues to get some meaningful looks here. Again, both the Sharks and the Barracuda are running out of healthy bodies here right now. Andreas Johnson missed this game, and I'm speculating here, but I would be surprised if we see him back there again. There's literally 3 weeks left, 10 games left. I would be a little shocked to kind of see him back, especially with the block. I don't know, just speculating. But that was a pretty massive block he took in the previous game. So Cal was really quiet on the fourth line tonight. Again, Peterson I thought looked good. There's actually not really a lot of young guys to talk about. Knizhov, who I think this is probably the worst game he's had all season, which is fine. It happens, but a little disappointing there. He just bad game from him. Hertl, bad game from him. That terrible turnover, more than one terrible turnover that we've seen from Hertl a lot this season, which seems very un-Hertl like. So that's hoping things that just one season, clean it up going into the offseason. So, just again, they're bad. You guys know it. We know it. Everybody knows it. If you watch this team for more than 5 minutes, this team is bad. So, so instead of spending the rest of the episode talking about how bad this bad team actually is, we're going to talk about the future and want to look at some mock drafts. We spent a lot of time focusing on the top of the draft. Now, as we were getting towards the end of the season, starting to hit the off season, going to start focusing more on the back end of the draft, focusing on guys who could be there for the Sharks with that Devils pick, and then potential, or maybe guys who are available for the Sharks at the beginning of the first round. So I've done is collected a bunch of mock drafts, and we're going to look at some of these guys who are mocked to the Sharks right now. Kind of start to get to know some of these names, and then as we get closer to the draft, we'll do deeper profiles on these guys. But before we get into that, do want to take a quick break to talk to you guys about our friends over at Indeed. No matter how the last game went, anytime you take the field, you got a shot at greatness. Give your team the best shot at winning by recruiting more MVPs with Indeed. If you're hiring, you need Indeed, because Indeed is the hiring partner where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. And Indeed is the only job site where you're guaranteed to find quality applicants that have your must-need requirements, or else you don't pay. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites hoping to find the candidates that find the right skills, you need one powerful hiring partner that can help you do it all. Indeed partners with you on every step of the hiring process. Find great talent through time-saving tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. With Instant Match, as soon as you sponsor a post, you get a short list of quality candidates with resumes on Indeed that match your job description. You can invite them to apply right away. Plus, you only pay for quality applicants that meet your must-have requirements. So start hiring right now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/lockedon. Offer valid through March 31st. Go to Indeed.com/lockedon to claim your $75 credit before March 31st. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Okay. Let's talk about the back end of the first round. So I found a couple of mock drafts here, looking at some of the players. So I'll kind of read their little scouting reports, give credit to them. Whoever is doing this, give you some stats and stuff on each player. Again, just a little bit of a taste. I do plan on kind of diving into these guys a bit more as we get closer to the draft. I know a lot of people have asked, when are you going to do more back of the half? We're getting there, guys. There's a lot of time between now and the draft, and believe me, that's a lot of episodes I have to fill. So don't want to give out everything all at once. But we're going to start with one Otto Stenberg, center / winger from Frölunda in the SHL. So this mock draft comes from at Clutch Points from one Tristan McKinstry, was published March 19th. So last week. So he has, I assume Tristan is a boy. He has the Sharks taking at the 28th pick with the New Jersey Devils pick, Otto Stenberg. Stenberg is another player whose NHL draft projection is all over the place right now. Some have the Swede as high as a top 15 player. Others have him just outside the first round. The Sharks acquired this pick from Timo Meier trade. They take Stenberg, who can be a thorn in the side on opposing players on the forecheck. He also flashes the ability to be a dangerous scorer at the next level. Although he's a bit inconsistent in that area, San Jose can work with that and potentially land themselves a middle six goal scorer in the process. So this year, Stenberg, so he's 17, still doesn't turn 17 till May 29th. So a little bit younger in the draft. 5'11", 181 pounds. So a little stocky there, which is what you'd like to see. Again, playing in Sweden this season. So he's played he's actually bounced around a fair amount between the different, so the J18s, and then the Frölunda JHC J20, and then also in the SHL Frölunda HC as well. So with his J20 team, that's his junior team, he played 29 games there, had 11 goals, 15 assists in 26 games. Did play in the SHL as well, 23 games there, so pretty good sample size, pretty good run there. Did have a goal, 2 assists, and 3 points. So again, he's 17 still, doesn't even turn 18 until the end of May. So potential pick for the Sharks there. So pretty solid. So I've seen Stenberg a lot type of situation. Again, I still think the Sharks, you never want to pick based on need, but I still think the Sharks tried to go defenseman there, especially with the way this draft is probably going to shake out, where I think you're going to see maybe mostly forwards in the beginning. I think you're going to see a run of defensemen at the back end of the first round. So let's dive into another one of these potential picks. So this one is actually a defenseman, a very intriguing defenseman. So this is on the Sporting News by one Brian Murphy. It was put out 3/20/2023. Again, Sharks are picking 2 right now in this, so it's Adam Fantilli to start, and then with the 28th pick from the Devils, they get Dmitri Simashev, a defenseman out of the Loko Yaroslav in the MHL. And they write, after securing Fantilli at number 2, the Sharks go defense at number 28 and select Simashev. The Russian defenseman has sized him at 6'4" and can cover a ton of ice. He's mobile for his height and has shown flashes of offensive potential, but he projects out to be a more physical, stingy defender. So if you like defense, this might be your guy here. One Dmitri Simashev. So pulling up his stats right now. 6'4". Oh, come on. There we we go. Yeah, so 6'4", 210-pound left-handed defenseman. We know the Sharks and their left-handed defenseman. February birthday, so just turned 18. So his rankings are kind of all over the place. Elite Prospects has him as high as number 12. Bob McKenzie has him at 35. If you're new to the draft, Bob McKenzie is kind of like the rankings usually. So puts him definitely in Sharks land there. 72 by Draft Prospects, 15 by Smart Scouting. So definitely all over the place here. So this season did play a couple games. So he played in the KHL and the MHL. Again, the MHL is it's VHL. MHL is basically the equivalent of the AHL in Russia, and then KHL is the NHL equivalent. So just a reminder, 29 games in the MHL, had 1 goal, 9 assists, 10 points, and then added 5 more points in 6 playoff games. So that's good to see there. Also did play 18 games in the KHL, didn't accrue any points in his time over in the KHL. So again, another kind of player. We know Mike Grier has been attacking this defense and trying to make this blue line much better than what we've seen before. Sounds like this guy might be a potential add for the Sharks here. Some other, as we're kind of reading up on him a little bit more, other people are much higher on his potential offensive growth. So if you have sick defensively and he adds some offense, might be something that the Sharks could be really, really interested in at the end of the first round. Before we continue, dig into some other players that the Sharks could be interested in, do want to take a quick break, talk to you guys about our friends over at FanDuel. It's tournament time right now, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. That's because right now FanDuel is giving new customers a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up today to claim your no-sweat first bet. You can wager on everything from the money line to point spreads to what teams will be cutting down the net on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So don't miss your shot at a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. Make every moment more with FanDuel. All right. Final couple ones here. So our final one here, then I'm going to look at kind of take on some of the guys who are around that area as well. Just again, we're trying to kind of dive in here, get to know some of these names a little bit more, or at least get to know these names maybe for the first time. And then as we dig into the draft more, we'll have full profiles on these. So Ian Kennedy at Yahoo on March 8th, he had the Sharks picking same thing at number 28. Jayden Perron, right wing from the Chicago Steel in the USHL. It's hard to imagine whoever this pick becomes ever challenging to replace Timo Meier. With that in mind, taking a crack at a higher ceiling prospect like Jayden Perron is worth the risk. He's an elite passer who effectively manipulates passing and shooting lanes with his skating in his hands. Headed to the University of North Dakota, San Jose can be patient with Perron, who has top 6 potential. He's undersized and has excelled on a strong USHL team, so there are no guarantees his transition to the NCAA will be smooth, but with patience, he has high-level potential. Spoiler, I talked actually with Hattie today. It'll be up next week, and he mentions one Jayden Perron here as a player that he loves in the back end of the first round. So I'm definitely going to do a profile on him going forward. So January birthday, born in Canada, 5'8", 157. So that's his thing, right? He's 5'8", 157. Right-handed shot, forward, ranked anywhere from Bob McKenzie has him at 50, Dauber has him at 24, Smart has him at 13, Elite Prospects has him at 10. Like, he's ranked all over the board here type of player. But Chicago Steel, 52 games, 21 goals, 40 assists, 61 points so far this season. Had a nice season with them last year, and going to University of North Dakota. I know North Dakota is kind of going through a little bit of a transition. They've been losing a lot of their NHL guys. Kind of took a little bit of a step back this year, but this could be a guy where I flat out asked Hattie, who's the guy in the back end of the first round that we could be talking about? Why wasn't he drafted earlier? This could be that type of guy. So. Yes, he's playing with some good players on the Chicago Steel. Macklin Celebrini, if you haven't heard of him, he's going to be the first pick in the 2024 draft. You might have heard of him, though. San Jose Shark Jr. But anyway, player back in the day, 1920. But that's going to be most likely the first pick in the next year's draft, if not one of the top picks there. But he does get to play with some good players. You know, they have three drafted players on their team right now in the Chicago Steel. Always their loaded team, always play really well, et cetera, et cetera. Always acquire. But feels like, and despite his size, he plays super physical. Is just constant going type of guy. So I know a lot of people quote unquote worry with Mike Grier about wanting big guys, all that stuff. I think Mike Grier just wants guys who compete, and this guy competes. So that's why I think he would be a great swing for the Sharks at the end of the first round. Again, definitely a risk, but if this guy pays off, you could be getting a top 6 type of player for the Sharks at the end of the first round and help to kind of alleviate that Timo Meier pain. So before we get out of here, some other guys to kind of keep an eye on, kind of guys who are we're definitely going to try to do some of these profiles. So Gavin Brindley, who I mentioned we've talked a little bit with Tony Ferrari this week, mentioned him as guys to watch in the NCAA tournament. Samuel Hanvik, center out of the Vancouver, Slovakian, plays for Vancouver, Slovakian. Like I said, Dmitri Simashev, Quentin Musty, left winger in Sudbury in the OHL. Lucas Dragovic, keep it just that one. So Tanner Molendek from Saskatoon, Otto Stenberg, of course, Jayden Perron, Daniel Butt, Ethan Gauthier. You might, maybe next week, might learn more about him. So Gabe Peralt, also another guy. So we're going to start kind of digging into some of these guys here a little bit more, but just want to start throwing these names out for you guys, let you guys, again, if you're new to the draft process or kind of just, following along with me, just let you guys know. So, again, I didn't want to talk about this Vancouver game. It was bad. So wanted to talk about the draft. The draft's way more fun. All right, so that's going to be it for me tonight. Again, thank you guys for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Now, for your second listen, go check out the Game to Game NHL. Make every moment, every top performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NHL with local analysis only Locked On can deliver. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NHL, available on Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get podcasts. You can follow me on Twitter at MyFryhole. You can follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. Subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts to get the latest episode as soon as it's available. Be back on Monday with a recap of all hockey that goes on for the San Jose. Sharks play Calgary on Saturday. Nice early 1:00 game. And then we have 2 big Barracuda games as they play Bakersfield this weekend. So those are must-win games as a shorthanded Sharks team, Barracuda team is making a playoff push. So until Monday, bye, friends.